Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you've been asking for it, so we have returned. Welcome to Season 18, Round 1 at Barcelona of the RaceFace GT3 Championship. My name is Stephen Koenig. Glad to have you guys here in the virtual grandstands, and it's going to be a banger of a season because first into the comments, we've got Raymond Mooney, Daniel De Villiers, Tate Bishop Racing, and Tenvo coming in and giving a bit of support. Plus, around Barcelona, which is a tricky circuit by itself, we're going to see drivers go and charge down the main straight, turn into Elf, where we're going to see 3-4 cars going wide. Maybe someone pulls a George Russell. Who knows? We'll find out as they head through to Renault, onwards to Repsol, make their way through the twisty bits as they head through to Rath, and Camp SA going to be the Campus going to be the middle. A slight kink. You got to get on the power. It's without running too far wide. Track limits is going to be a pain in the backside of note. Then down the short straight where you're going to have to utilize all the slipstream. Get ready for Leclerc side where we're going to see a lot of drivers go for an inside line that may or may not work for them into Bannock Sandoval, which is a long right-hander, before we head into our little chicanes down at the bottom before you head into New Holland and back onto the main straight. But I know you're sick and tired of looking at the track like this, so let's go down to the track where our drivers are doing qualifying. And welcome once again to the circuit of Barcelona for the RaceFace GT3 Championship. Going to be an awesome one. We have 3 servers, Pro, Pro-Am, and Am, currently running at the moment with over 100 competitors, all going to be fighting it out for the top honors, looking to really stand on to the top step come the end of the evening. And it is going to be a wild, wild ride, ladies and gentlemen, because during the off-season, lots of drivers have been really getting onto the power, trying to figure out what they can do and who will be able to claw their way up through the order, what is needed to be at the top of the charts. And that's not going to be an easy factor for anyone to deal with. So, that being said, we're going to go through the running order at the moment because there's a bit of a change up at the top from our usual line. Bego Krobler out in the front. Johan Bego Krobler doing a 143. Then we got Marjan Vin all the way out from one of our a little bit far taken places. So Mr. Van Vin, welcome. Casual Drivers Endurance out on the circuit. Daniel Rowe going in the Iron Lynx car, a Lamborghini, followed by Kieran Duplessis in the Uno Racing team. Got some really styling out there, gotta say. Tyler Humphreys in the PWSR Alpha. We saw his debut outing with PWSR out with the RaceFace 24-hour Nürburgring, the Nordschleife. 6th place, Daniel De Villiers. Eric Hussein in 7th. Jean Leroux up into, well, down into 9th place as Werner Schumann puts in a banger over time. So Jean Leroux in 9th place of KSR Hex drivers. And then Darren Miller in 10th position. Sean Faviers in 11th. 12th is a new driver, Nico Safaris from Pandacity Skadoosh. Going to be having a bit of fun. Yes, got to add a bit of emphasis on the Skadoosh because it's all about the pinky. Chris Stoltz down in 14th position, down into 15th as grid's starting to change out. Johan Kleinans of Delta Negative, Rian for the race. Conor Bergstrom, Alan Patterson back out on the track. SES Days a little bit further down. Good to see a couple of ZRC drivers, a couple of the LTRs, and also a couple, well, just from everywhere. Alan R even coming in with quite a few. Ruben Heineke out on the track. Sanjan Pillay doing what he can. Jaco Kutza of Team Trial Bandits. Mordrake Larson's down in 25th. 26th is Sean Herrero. Paul Fenter down at 27th, 28th, Viertia Buerta, Jaco Krobler, Jason Farmer down at 30th. 31st is Nicholas Clark from Pandacity. So good to see Nicholas out there. Andre Soradio, Project Vapor, and Issam Domingo as well. But out in top of the charts was Bego Krobler, Van Vin, trying to also move up and do everything he can. Daniel Rowe is down in 3rd place, and Quan, Mr. Q, has been having a bit of fun, really powering away in the Audi. Darren Miller trying to close down the gap. Hard on the brakes, really slings it in, but just can't get the car to button up the way that he wants it to work out. Werner Skimmer, though, puts himself into 3rd place on the top running of the charts. So it's good to see him out there putting in everything he can in this jam-packed field right here at the World of Barcelona. But as I say, Barcelona with enthusiasm, with excitement, and just really the emphasis on it. We've got someone that can add more of that enthusiasm, who has binned it in some of these corners, and may have taken out a driver or two. Stuck into the commentary box, we've got Cameron De Bastos.
Good evening, Stephen. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, I think Stephen got a lot of enthusiasm there with the pronunciation there. But yeah, welcome in, everybody. Stephen already giving a rundown of the grids there. I snuck in, trying to be unnoticed, but Stephen with his keen eye spotted me there.
All good, all good. Well, our Formula 4 driver joining us, Cameron. It is Barcelona. It is hot out on the track, 28 degrees, scorching temperature. It is round 1 after taking a bit of a break. All to play for. What can we expect here at round 1 with an absolutely jam-packed field of pros? 34 on the grid. And we do have another 2 servers, our Pro-Ams and AMs, also racing. I mean, a little bit of ring rust maybe, or do you think the drivers have been really dialing in their skins? I know a couple of drivers have been running in different leagues throughout the week, but it seems like the Thursday everyone has come out to really lay into the race.
Oh yeah, as you say this, Stephen, I don't think there will be any ring rust out there tonight. They have been driving phenomenally well the past couple of the in-between filler leagues that's been going on, and also in the other leagues. So I do not think there's going to be any ring rust, but we do know that I think we're going to see a couple of incidents happening, either penalties in terms of track limits, or just maybe some taps here or there. But no, Barcelona, a track that gives a lot of action. It's one of my favorite tracks, even though I hate it because I keep on crashing on it. But other than that, it's been a phenomenal track to watch, and I absolutely love seeing races going around there.
I actually prefer the old school, where instead of turning into the left-hander now, you would go straight and then curve back, joining it, which would be our run-off road, back into the race. A bit more flowy, especially I'm used to cars that don't really have ABS and traction control, like a GTE. You know, they've got traction control, but they don't really have ABS. But you're not worrying about that, because who needs brakes any case? That's for sissies. But it's good to see the cars having a bit of fun here. Barcelona, a track that can either make or break your race. Round 1, though, do you think the nerves are going to be coming into play? New names in the grid, new teams coming into play, drivers swapping teams, and having just everyone getting to be back on the track with one another after quite some time.
I mean, I do believe there is going to be some fears. You never know how the cars are going to, or how the drivers are going to react, or how they are going to be. I mean, I've kept an eye on the grading that was done before, and to see how the classes are going, how the classes are going to be shaped up, who goes where with the drivers. And I'm not going to lie, that the skill level has skyrocketed from the last time that we saw it. People were running on Bathurst for grading, and they were running phenomenal times. I believe on almost the top 15 or something, all within a second separated from another. So the level of skill has stepped up a lot, and it's great to see everybody driving around and just performing phenomenally today. And I'm expecting a close, compact race for our opener, and just everybody feeling out who's going to drive where, and see how we go from there.
Well, that's it. I mean, this is an opportunity for drivers to really get themselves into check. Who's going to be able to get themselves sort of up the road, and that's what I think is going to be a fun one. What we're going to try and do, though, is something a little bit different. So, can't really show everyone yet. I'm working on it, though. That we're going to try and pull through by the end of the race. And this is a try, get it right. Hopefully by the end of the race we'll be able to tell you who's leading the championship, who's not, and throughout the season try and give live where people may sit in the championship. So I'm trying out something a little bit new. It's dangerous. Steven's toying with stuff again. Things might explode. The hamster may die of a heart attack in this computer. It's a possibility. Dearly beloved, we will miss little Jimmy the hamster. But we're going to try and give you guys all that information as the race goes on. But as it stands, Bego Krobler putting in the fast lap time, 1:43.18. Getting chased down. I mean, take a look at the time. Only 0.3 of a second to second place. Then you got Jude Neville up into third place. He's gone down because Daniel Rowe decides that he's going to absolutely kick his teammate off a cliff and take first place. So Daniel Rowe going and saying, sorry, Bego Krobler, poof, gone. And getting pipped by 0.090. Now, if I was Bego Krobler, I would be...
You mean?
Yeah, no, that's a bit, if you're 0.1, okay, fine. But if you're now going that far down the road with me, that's a bit rough, eh? You're not giving me much hope here.
Yeah, it's I mean, we saw how these guys are driving. They are very close to one another on skill group, and I think to be beaten by 0.090.
Yeah.
It's quite gutting, but I mean, just in the first, I'm looking at the sector times for the two. In sector 1, it was less than a tenth that separated them, and then in sector 2, Bago has the upper hand there. Bago has the upper hand there, but also again by about 6/100th, and then in the final sector it goes again back to Rowe. It's all of these small changes that has the impact on who goes where. And where you can maximize what can be done, but I think that is not going to be kind words spoken to one another, but in a joking manner. So it's kind of funny, I would say.
In a joking manner. Jeez.
Yeah, it's a kickoff. It's a kickoff.
Yes, it's a kickoff, but you definitely kicked him off first place. I mean, you've got a lockout, but come on, that's a bit of a rough one. But some awesome times being said. Loving the new liveries that are coming in as well. Lots of exciting new liveries. I mean, we've got the Helldivers livery. We have got the police livery we just saw out on circuit. PWSR's got a makeup of a new circuit. New livery. I mean, guys are coming in. They're stepping up the styles as well. They're putting in the performance. I mean, even Eleanor swapping out their usual styles and coming in with a more refined taste, which I never thought I would say Paul's got a refined taste. But, Paul, you're going to be switching out your usual for maybe a more refined drink on a Friday. But so far, qualifying over, no one able to beat Daniel Rowe. Can Q get it right? Mr. Duplessis down the straight, doing everything he can. He comes across the line, puts himself into 8th place. Mac van der Merwe into 3rd, right across the line. So he pushes down the likes of Van Veen and Jude Neville a little bit further down. Werner Skuman down into 6th. I mean, this is going to be a wild race of note.
I mean, yeah, as you say there, Stephen, just looking at the times here, not our top 10, not our top 20. Our top 22 drivers all separated by 1 second. Well, under the 1 second gap. That is phenomenal in terms of that. But what makes me a bit sad is that we only have, but Stephen might not agree with me in terms of the newer one.
The GT4 looks nice. The previous GT3 looks better. The current one looks like it's been stood on. That being said, though, cannot take away from the performance it has done throughout the entire season. That being said, though, we're going to be going down to the track and taking a look at the grid positions. So, out in first place is Daniel Rowe going and stepping up above the charts. Then we have got the likes of Johan Bego-Krobler, Mac van der Merwe, Van Finn down in 4th, Jude Neville, Werner Skuman, Andre Serradio, Koen Duplessis, Johan Kleinans, Ruan for the race, Sanjin Pillay, Darren Miller, Daniel De Villiers, Jason Farmer, Mahayath Musa, Eric Hustain, Chris Stolz, Tyler Humphrey, Jean Leroux, SESAs, Jaco Khutzer, Jean Verfiers, along with Conor Bergstrom, Alan Patterson, Paul Fenter, Nico Savaris, Mordre Clausen, Sean Larera, Issam Domingo, Vietia Buerta, Ruan Heineke, Nicholas Kruk, along with Jaco Krobler and Ondrej Bartik coming in. So good to see Ondrej Bartik coming in. I do apologize if I get that horribly wrong. I think I am definitely getting it horribly wrong. But nice to see a new set of names on the grid looking to give us a wild, wild race. And I'm going to say this is going to be a race of champions. Now, we have got quite a bit here. I mean, take a look. We've got Kieran Patterson saying, let's go PWSR. Now, we heard Kieran Patterson last season say he's going to be handing the crown over this time around, but he is still putting in the support for the team. They're looking to really challenge it with a new set of cars. Won't lie, the person under on the right-hand side, under the name, just gave me the biggest fright of my life.
How so?
It's just this, I mean, it's this random chap that was staring at me. Five Nights at Freddy's sort of style. But good to see that Kieran Patterson putting in some support for the PWSR. We've got Dylan going in and saying Jason Farmer go, Sean go, Ruan. So a bit of support there, Nushka Buta as well. But that being said, we're going racing, lockout for hybrid racing. Out in front, Mac van der Merwe and Van Finn are going to be challenging for the fight. With JMPD lying in 3rd place, well, you either got to get going for the hybrid racing, or you best whoop whoop pull over for the police that's going to come through. But don't count out Van Finn, who landed up in the pound seat as they go off to a great start. And unfortunately, Werner Skuman getting 4 wide, and now it looks like Andre Serradio is not going to hang around. Q trying to get around the outside as they all barrel into turn 1. 3 abreast. Oh, contact. Unfortunately, 3 abreast does not work out. George Russell, it goes straight. Never mind, going straight into another car. Jude Neville, though, getting a little bit of a love tap from Kleinans behind. But out in front, Bego-Krobler watching his rearview mirrors as Mac van der Merwe tries to go around the outside. Van Finn going and looking on the inside with Q immediately onto the back of him as they bring the train along. Jude Neville trying to go defensive around the outside. Couldn't get it all hooked up. But this is turning into a absolute brawl. There's nothing refined at the moment. This is pull off the gloves, get into the fight, and really lay into the competition. A little bit of argy-bargy, dropping off the curbs a bit into the dirt. Oh, one of the drivers, that was one of our GSR drivers by the looks of it, that landed off into the dirt in the background. But so far, a reasonably good start for majority of the field.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, except for I just had kept an eye there on the back of the back there. Unfortunately, some incidents being reported there, and then also at the race starts a jump start, basically you can say, 2 not in the box. It is in the box. There should be for cars number 10 and 13. And if I look there correctly, that is Mordre Clausen for car number 10, and car 13 was Ishan Domingo. So I think those were some harsh words that are going to be spoken there. But yeah, so far it's a good clean start for our front running packs. There's field safety spreading out. Car 100 there, unfortunately, right there by the chicane, getting some contact there.
Issam Domingo into the pits. So Issam Domingo
for his penalty.
And Paul Fenter about to get a whole lot of Conor Bergstrom and a Helldiver sending it. But it looks like Jaco Kutzer also tried keeping a bit of a send on Rian for the race just around him. But monster fighting up and down. We've got a couple of accidents reported. Let's see if we can go through it. This is number 16. And this is Mr. Kleinans getting into a bit of a brawl. Take a look. It's Kleinans. This is Chris Stalls. He's been having a bit of a rough week of late. Take a look at that shot. That is just style all the way through. seeing a whole horde of GT3s, and there's a turnaround in the back that unfortunately brought out a few cars to get a bit of a yellow flag. But out in front, Hybrid Racing, Daniel Rowe going and pulling away from Bego Krobbe, his teammate. But it does look like Mac van der Merwe and Finn chasing each other down with Q onto the back of him. Jude Neville still in the mix there. Johan Kleinert right on the back of him. Werner Skuman, Sanjin Pillay, Andre Serradio putting in a great time. Daniel De Villiers and Darren Miller, the two teammates, are now in prime position behind one another. One sitting in 11th and 12th. Maif Musa behind them with Eric Kirstein. So they've nice positioning for a lot of drivers at the moment. Others less to be desired.
Yeah, no, Stephen. It's good clean racing thus far here, and yeah, it's definitely been elbows out there for the back of the pack. I'm just keeping an eye on the back. Already with some cars doing some early pit stops, getting that done and dusted, and just going on from there. But I think the biggest loser dropping out, unfortunately, was Alan Patterson, with a quite a large amount of incidents, or well, actually not that much.
It was SESA's with 14 positions down.
Dropped. Yeah, so it's been a rough start for some of the cars at the back there, but other than that, they have been doing quite well. Just getting the car fixed. I believe SE is still stuck in the pits. No, he just got out of the pits there and is running and trying to claw back some positions. I mean, look at that front pack of ours, Stephen. Look how close they're running to one another. They nose to tail. The front two might have broken a bit away, but Mac van der Merwe has not given up yet and is chasing that down with the likes of Van Veen and Duplessis also trying to assist and getting the car forward as best as possible. But I think you can start to see about three packs running close to one another, with that front running pack there and then our second or third there. So it's some close running at this point, as it's a good start to the season, and I think it's just the first 5 minutes or something, so this is going to be even better than I thought.
Well, that's it. I mean, Jude Neville has done an awesome job putting himself up. I do want to also bring up, not often do I get to point out certain drivers that I've seen do good jobs and bad jobs, but I have to take my hat off to the Alpha 1 esports driver, Sanjin Pillay, putting himself into the top 10. Now, we know Sanjin Pillay is a driver that's been sitting mid-grid majority of the seasons I've been live on air, majority of the seasons you even been participating, but to see him right up into the top 10 for the start of the race is really good going and thoroughly exciting to see how that's going to turn out, how he's going to keep all the pressure, because he's got a lot of pressure. Andre Serradio is not going to back off him. Daniel De Villiers will go for a hunt. Mahath Musa has just broken the tail of the PWSR, getting past Darren Miller, who's going to try and come back at him. Eric Kirstein is also keeping very, very close behind him. But a good job to see drivers really stepping up or going and finding and honing their skills a little bit to put themselves into this. Do you think now that the level of competition, not only within RaceFace, but just overall in South African esports, getting more and more, how can I say, exciting, getting a little bit more professional, a lot more of the orgs, a lot more of the teams taking things a bit more seriously, but also just the drivers themselves wanting to go down that extra mile? Do you think we're starting to see this evolution of getting sick and tired of watching your favorite streamer like
George Boothby, Jardier,
that sort of lot? Suddenly now we've got our own local versions that can go door to door with him.
Well, Stephen, as you said there, Sanjin Pillay, he's been he's quite a car. It's a driver who has been known for being also at the top, but in recent seasons, unfortunately, dropping to the midfield, but more about the spearhead of that type of attack from the mid back there. But we also should know that for the past season, he did make it known and that he's been struggling with some medical issues in terms of I believe it was his foot or his knee that was giving him some issues. And I think with this little off season that we've had, he's been just focusing on recovering, getting the car sorted. As we see him make a move there on side by side. Oh boy.
Sends it up the inside. Can he get it right?
Bit of a touch. and just nudges him out of the way, saying, "Oops, sorry, I'm coming
Andre
through."
Serradio also tries to take a cheeky little look on Werner Skuman.
I mean, now just something that you also have to say, Stephen. Andre Serradio, a guy who's also been more mid-pack, not really been struggling to break into that breakaway front, and even though he's top 10, this is still a good performance from him. I mean, he shot I think the iRacing World when he ran at Virginia about 3 weeks ago, and I believe took his first inaugural win in that category, or podium, I believe. Ooh, Sanjay Pillay get a bit too close to young Kleinhans there, and had to slam hard on the brakes and get a bit away there. But it's great to see. Apologies if I say a lot of them, but do not turn into a chocolate milk drinking game there. If you know the reference, you'll know the reference, as Werner Skuman almost sends it there. But it's great to see some of these unusual names that we do not know and not really familiar with, get ready to break into this front breakaway field. I mean, just look at Jude Neville. We've seen him, but normally in the Mercedes, and he's already busy in that knocking on the top 5 door, ready to bring the fight to some of the more well-known guys and not just giving up just yet, which is phenomenal. I think South African sim racing has definitely stepped up. With I think this is about from the statistics that we've had across all 3 servers that we've had running currently, we have 30 more inches than we've had previous season. That is why we do not have our AM drivers also racing against our current pro drivers. There's just such a big grid and so many entrants. It's great to see that South African sim racing is back where it was this stage last year.
Even just before then, with COVID being a major factor that comes into play. But local is lacquer, as we see Minoshka Birds are saying it. Kieran Patterson saying, "How's it?" Our soon to be extremely famous cricketer to go and definitely maybe tell how cricket works and educate a person like myself, the uneducated in terms of cricket. All I know is they throw a ball at one another and then they run up and down a pitch because there's not much else to do. Here in racing, though, we get to go extremely fast, experience high G-forces in sim racing. We get to go through the mental challenges, the highs, the lows, the thrills and spills of racing. So a little bit more on the excitement side on that, but good to see that we've got drivers up and down through the field doing fantastic time. But Barcelona, let's go into the nitty-gritties of it. Let's go into the technicalities, because I love getting into this. A high degrading circuit that does impact your front right tire quite a bit, and your left rear takes a knock of note. What do you think the strategy is going to be tonight? We have an hour and 20 minutes of racing. What's going to be the strategies going through people's heads? Change of tires, go run single set of tires, fueling, run low fuel, run high fuel. What's going to be the plan?
As you say there, Stephen, Barcelona, high degradation circuit, and I think the last time I was here, Sanjay Pillay almost drifting it around there, but no, high degradation circuit really goes and destroys the tires. If you're not careful on them, they might drop off within the first 20 to 30 minutes there. The last time I was around here was with the McLaren, and I can promise you it's a bit tough. You will definitely have to go and change tires. You can try and stick it out on the old set that you started with, but you will be sacrificing quite a lot. It's not that simple. Your drop off in pace will be significant, so better go change tires. I think the normal strategy we will see is either change tires on the hour and then again either closer to the end, as Werner Skuman tries to send it around the outside and getting forced wide a bit there. But now that brings up another thing. As I spoke earlier, track limits. Barcelona, not a forgiving track. So punishing on the track limits. Just going a bit wide will give you one. The corner where we saw that move.
Big save for Werner Skuman, and that did not help his case. He was trying to get
boxing.
Yeah, he tried getting past Sanjay Pillay, put it into the door of him, and Andre Serradio and Daniel de Villiers getting a bit of a shock and having to hit the brakes. Not wanting to be involved in that one.
Well, that's how we know the brakes are actually working now. But yeah, a bit of a rough move there from Van Eskuman and Droller saying, okay, listen, I'm just going into the pits there. But Sanjin Pillay, he seems to be turning that car into a drifter. Every time I see him, he's just drifting around the corner there. But yeah, as I said, you'll definitely want to change the tires about a 1 hour mark if you really want to preserve it. And then you want to try, I would recommend maybe try changing it at 30 minutes. It might be about a longer stop. I don't know. Normally, last time I ran here, I left the strategy to Kieran, who's currently not racing there, but might give a bit of his insight from an analyst perspective. But yeah, the tires will get chowed up quite hard. You can't risk running the same set of tires for a exceptionally long time. You have to be very, very careful. You have to be strategic about what you want to do, and also at the same time.
For Jaco
Oh, the lone McLaren getting a drive through there. Oh boy, that's a bit sad there. But yeah, again, track limits, very, very careful. I know it's going to sound like a broken record, but track limits, track limits, track limits. If you're not careful, you will be punished, and it will not be forgiving.
Well, this is Jaco Krobler getting a yellow flag, and I think it's because the Ferrari just snapped out underneath him. And yeah, there's talking about flirting with track limits. There's talking about just flirting with those curbs. Unfortunately, you got to flirt with the throttle a little bit to push yourself up through the field. It does look like we've scored our first retirement of the night, and that is Alan Patterson, unfortunately retiring from the race. So we've got our first retirement of the season and first retirement of the race. Werner Skuman trying to get his way past the likes of SM Domingo. Not going to be an easy ride, as SM Domingo is going to make the car as wide as possible, defending for his life at this point. Good running on him, but up into third place, Mac van der Merwe doing a brilliant job, but Van Finn is going to really lean onto him and try and ensure that he can put a bit of pressure onto the back of that Porsche. We do know the Porsches naturally just go and destroy those rear tires with no regard for what they are, where the Mercedes a little bit easier on the tires, except when the front starts to go. Now, I don't know if anyone else has ever had this issue, because every time I've driven the Mercedes, whether it be iRacing, whether it be ACC, it's always the front end that will go, it will hang on, it gets into this little bit of a slippy, slidey state, then it'll become this gummy state, where there will be grip to a point, and then you'll feel the car start to, the nose won't quite tuck in so nicely, and then beyond that is just a cliff. And I mean, this is jumping off the side of Table Mountain and hitting every branch on the way down sort of cliff.
Well, yeah, I think it's a characteristic for the for the Mercedes there, with that being a front engine car, all that weight will be on that front axis there, and that's where the drive will also be coming from. So it will definitely punish those tires. And yeah, it's going to be tough. But as you mentioned there, the Porsche, not a car that's easy on the tires. I don't think there is even a car that's quite light on tires. Any car around this track with a high deck will destroy them. So unfortunately,
Skip Barber.
Except, I mean, the current GT3 cars.
A Chevrolet Z06, and you can go and see that in the Asian Lamar series. Thank you very much. I will take my chocolate milkshake, because that does actually exist. It's ZR1. Z06 ZR1. And that does actively race as a GT3 car. You can go look it up. Front engine Chev is still around, not just the mid-engine Ferrari, Lamborghini type looking thing. But interesting run to see these two fighting it out for third. It seems like they're just running in a bit of formation at the moment. Guys that aren't running in formation is Sanjin Pillay, Andres Radio, and Daniel the Hitman de Villiers. They've closed up on one another, doing a fantastic job as they go and fight it out. This is always a good stance for them. Sanjin Pillay, though, is currently punching a hole in the air and pushing the Ferrari to its limit. Now, we do know the Ferrari naturally, before BOP, does have an advantage around the circuit, but since we're running the LFM BOP system, the classes are a lot more closed up. Interesting to see we don't have the odd car like Daniel de Villiers last night was actually in a Nissan GTR. He's gone and the whole team has decided to work on the Ferrari, just isolate it and find out how to get it going, versus the likes of just the likes of their Lamborghini. that they were running last season, now dipping their toes into the Ferrari. But not to see the big Bentley in the pros, not to see the Nissan GTR, even the Lexus. Lexus was a pretty quick car. And then no one brave enough to take the Maserati as well. We're starting to see back to the newer gen cars in the entirety of the grid.
Yeah, it's quite sad to see some of the old spec cars unfortunately not being raced there, but yeah, it's great to see. Daniel de Villiers, I did speak with him. He said, well, no, they're going to run the Ferrari, even though he would love to run the Nissan. The team has decided to develop the car as one unit together instead of being separate drivers, and rely on the resources and knowledge that they've gained from the drivers who have done it before. But well, from other drivers such as Kieran Patterson, even though he's far away, he will still be lending a hand, I believe. But no, it's sad to see the Maserati's not there and the Nissan is not running. I just took a quick look in terms of the BOP for the evening, and just a small rundown in terms of the car brands. The cars who have not been BOP'd is the Audi and the BMW with the McLaren. Now, the other cars that got the least amount of BOP is, who got actually taken out of it, is the Aston Martin off-pole fender, and the one that got hit the most with BOP is the Ferrari with a 27 BOP. However, the Mercedes that we see in fourth, and definitely packing a big punch there, has a total of 20 kilograms taken out of it, with the Porsche having 11 take out of it. This provides a very close racing field, which is what we like to see, which we all love to come and see. And we really want to thank everybody who contributed towards creating this BOP for LFM and allowing us to use it. But it's still sad. I wish we can get the Maserati back. I wish we can get the old Aston Martin V12. And
the
then
original
the
Aston Martin.
The original, the one that screams when you take it down on Bathurst Conroy Straight. I absolutely love the sound of that car.
You know what? It just makes me want to actually do one race, take the Aston Martin DB9 out on iRacing and just go give that a burn. You know, got the Chev GT1. You want to just take the Aston, just give it a proper down the Mozon straight. But taking a look at all the circuits and taking a look at all the cars, we're going to have a lot of racing this season. A lot of fun racing as well. The tracks are also a brilliant mix of all sorts, and guys are going to be really trying to push the boundaries of what's going on. I do see a couple of yellow flags that have kicked up. This is for car 13 that ran into a bit of an issue. And this is Issam Domingo, who seemed to have an accident with Werner Skuman still on the back of him. Big send once again, side by side. All look clear there. Might have been a little bit of paint rub between the two. I think so. That was earlier very, very light contact, just enough to get that. And I'm going to say it because Dylan's here. It's just to get that close shave, that the triple blade across the sides. Just get
a triple blade when you can go full blade with the Chic Quattro?
You see, I'm not that clued up, okay? I was trying to sound smart and you went and wiped it out. Thank you, I appreciate it, Captain. You know, go back in your F4, put your helmet on and leave us alone. You know, we've got our GT racing. Just go play around in your car.
But I can't go and starve our amazing audience from my incredible... I'm joking, I'm talking a bunch of nonsense here now.
Side by side, Alpha Esports against Project Vapor, and Sanjan Pillay giving it everything he's got, but Andre Serradio leaning into him. Daniel de Villiers looking for the inside and tries to get on the end.
Oh, cut back. Never mind. Sanjan closing the door in front of that beaver's teeth. Oh.
Return to sender. Hey, return to sender.
Steven just showed his age. I don't even know that song.
You don't? Just look it up. It's really good.
Okay.
It's a good one for anyone that does a good send and then just doesn't pull it off. You know, it's a return to sender. But Andre Serradio going after Sanjan Pillay, and Daniel de Villiers still hunting him down, trying to figure out what he can do. But you know, Daniel the Hitman de Villiers out on the circuit will be having a little bit of a thought running in his head. Last night he did a race with ZRC, if I remember correctly. Was in the Nissan GTR, absolutely sent it into the back of SES days, that even SE said that he had to go to the doctor. He's all okay, he's been cleared by the doctor, they checked his prostate after it was extensively checked by de Villiers. So good to see it out of him. Duplessis going after Van Veen at the moment. Audi versus Mercedes. Now it does look like the Mercedes has the upper hand over the likes of Duplessis' Uno Racing Team Audi. But I've got to say, I'm loving the color scheme, and George G. Max, our predecessor, will be also commenting on the different liveries that's coming in. A lot more exciting liveries, a lot more liveries with a bit of pop to it as well.
Well, when I see that Uno Racing Team livery, you know which livery I'm thinking of, Stephen, and it will be one
Iron
that
Lynx.
me and you. No. It's not a real world. Yes, it's not the real world one. It's the team that we faced in one of our 12-hour endurances, and it was a pink Barbie car. And our sole mission for that race was to beat the Barbie car, which we did successfully.
Do you know there was a GT3 Barbie car that was actually put on circuit for the Barbie movie not so long ago? I
didn't watch Barbie. Sorry, I prefer Oppenheimer.
Well, they went down like a bomb as well, but you know,
okay.
No. There was a big loss of control, but there was actually a Barbie car that was out on track. Did very, very well. Unfortunately, brakes failed, and hitting a wall at 200 k's hour is not really a fun option for anyone. But,
so one would say that they weren't keen enough.
They weren't keen enough. Maybe they saw keen.
No, maybe one of them was just keen.
Yeah, no, it could be that. But out on the circuit, we've got 8th, 9th, and 10th place. I mean, we've got so many battles going on. We've got 2 mandatory pit stops coming into it. I mean, this is a proper run. But I'm getting a little bit more information coming through as we see Vietia Buerta's in the pits, Paul Fence is in the pits. Those 2 cars are looking a bit rough.
Oh, we have rain, Stephen. This has thrown everything into the caution to the wind. We have rain, ladies and gentlemen, and in 10 minutes it's going to get worse. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Okay, for a minute there, I was wondering whether my screen was going and telling lies to me, telling those sweet, sweet lies. Unfortunately, it's not, and the track is starting to become very, very interesting, and I don't think the drivers expect it, because it is random weather, and this means that your setups will not be ideal. Your setups won't be perfectly dry. But now rain throwing into the mix, you still got that mandatory pit stop to come into play. I mean, this does put a ding in it. How far will you go? How far are you willing to go? And in the case of Werner Skuman, you've got 1 more pit stop to go, and unfortunately, it's raining. You're going to try and drive through that, or you get in the box and risk finishing the race on wet tires in the dry.
Ooh.
I mean, this has taken whatever strategies that drivers did have.
It's out the window. Yeah, it's literally crumpled it up. Did a Kobe toss into the dustbin, RIP, and then completely gone by. I mean, I looked at the track status within about a minute's time, or maybe not even a minute, half a minute's time, it went from optimum to greasy. And we don't see many cars jumping into the pits to go and change tires. Remember, this is just for 10 minutes, but the track will definitely not be working. You can go and change your tires to wets, and you can run them. I mean, we've seen multiple drivers on esports and on the pro level, on the amateur level, go and run the wet tires until they were screaming murder at one another. That's how red hot they can. And you will be turning the wet tires into slick, so it will be a bit of a nice compromise. However,
Conor Bergstrom with a proper send. Unfortunately, not close enough, and I think that wasn't an intentional one. Unfortunately, went for his normal brake marker and just went a little too deep into the corner and was able to pull it back, but he definitely pounced like a panda and landed off on a few branches on the way through.
You mean the only panda that pounces is Kung Fu Panda? Pandas normally roll, and they're clumsy. You know that.
Yes, they are.
But they're so darn cute.
They're naturally clumsy, but yet they have a high survival rate in the wild, but not so high when there's hunters around. So yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately not.
Darren Miller onto the back of Tyler Humphries, the two new teammates joining up, and it does look like Darren Miller is trying to hurry on Tyler a little bit and saying, hey, come on, buddy, you need to step up the game here. You need to get going. We're losing track of Crystal's ahead of us. Oh, Tyler Humphries with a bit of a look on the inside. Tried to go for a pass, but I think also locking the wheels up a little bit. Now with these conditions starting to change, what are you going to do for this? I mean, are you going to change your traction control? Are you going to change your ABS? You're going to change your engine mapping, as we see one of the PWSR cars just go venturing out into all oblivion. What, as a driver, seeing the conditions change and feeling the conditions starting to change, what will you be doing in these cars?
Well, this is where the beauty comes in, and this is where rain is the perfect equalizer for all drivers, Stephen. You go, if you know how, I mean, we see the comments saying that the time model is a bit unfavorable, saying that you can run the tires on dry tires run the same times that you would run with wet tires. However, for the drivers to try and still hit their normal brake markers, it's normally recommended take your brake bars as much as possible and move it all the way back. You want your braking power on your rear tires. You do not want to lock up your fronts, especially in wets, and go straight on into a wall or another competitor in front of you. I have seen drivers go and not change the engine mapping. If you are gentle enough with your throttle and able to really manage it carefully, you can go and still run TC1 or a very low ABS and still go and run incredible times. It's all about that brake and throttle management, where the skill comes in of how to modulate it.
What a slide from Tyler Humphries. And can he get the pass as well? Holy wow! Okay, that is exciting. So gets a little bit of a tank slapper, gets past Crystals, stands on the gas, opens up a bit of a That was, well,
textbook? Semi?
That wasn't textbook, but I would say Bob Ross would be proud and painting lots of happy clouds after that one.
I mean, this is the second night in a row that me and you have seen these types of drifts. We've seen one in McLaren around the cutting at Bathurst. Now tonight we see it from Tyler Humphries. Edwin Govender goes and sends it there, and now we see Tyler Humphries go and showing off to Darren Miller, saying, listen here, but this is how you do it, and he completely messed up that second part of that chicane. That's going to be a penalty, I believe, in some shape or form. But
a little bit of a coming together between the likes of Sanjan Pillay and what looks to be Daniel De Villiers having a slight bit of contact. They lost out to Andre Serradio ahead, and let's see what happens. I don't think too hectic. Look for the inside, a little bit of a rub race there, both drivers knowing each other, and Sanjan just straightening up the wheel a little bit, just trying to keep it all sorted. Oh, take slapper though. Catching it, bring it back. Lots of fishtailing. And now it's a drag race down. But I think, unfortunately,
running wide for Sanjan there.
Oh, just on the wrong line. You're on the marbles, you're on the wet, you're going into the puddles. There's just no grip on the outside. So he's having to just try and dial it back.
Oh, and now Daniel De Villiers is going a bit deep in that corner, but still being able to maintain a position and running, creating a bit of a gap there. Oh boy, but Stephen, I mean, you mentioned the bit of an accident that he had last night with SAS and where the Nissan got a bit too close to the BMW for a rear inspection. I don't think we can call him the Hitman anymore, seeing as the Zodiac cars.
Alan's back.
Yeah, Alan clawed back in. I think he might have just had some issues there, but he's been circulating. He's about 2 laps down, but he is still circulating. So well done, Alan. As we see Sanjan I'm looking at Sanjan here, trying to send a dive onto on the inside of Daniel Villiers. Unfortunately, just running a bit too deep there.
Accident for 777. Accident for the 777.
The McLaren, the sole McLaren.
No, this is Tyler Humphries in the Ferrari.
I'm 117. Whoops.
The 777, Tyler Humphries trying to get it all going and maybe a little bit too aggressive on the braking. And a light contact. Got him twisted around, brought it back. But just a lightness of contact from one of the Delta Negative cars. I think that
That was
Turn and run. That was Crystals, wasn't it? No?
Yep, that was Crystals. He lost 2 positions to Crystals and Darren Miller, his own teammate. Now he's in the pack. Now he's busy chasing and hunting him down again. But yeah, again, it's now all about that skill of just modulating that brake. You do not want to overheat the tires. You do not want to get on the throttle too early, leading to an accident. You want to be very, very careful in terms of what you want to do. And this is what they say, rain, the greatest neutralizer in terms of any racer skill. You know, it's not setup dependent, it's all about racer. You can get the car stabilized, but you have to get the car to the point where you can really, really push it and get the optimal line in wet conditions.
And the drivers are going to be also looking at the weather broadcast and seeing what's going to happen with that as well. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, lots of things happening out on the circuit. We got 2 mandatory pit stops, but let's go through the running order at the moment. We have got Johan Beger-Krobler out in first place. Second is Daniel Rowe, followed by Mac Vermova, Arjun van Veen, along with Kieran de Passy, Jude Neville, Johan Kleinans, Andre Serradio, Daniel the Hitman de Villiers, Sandrin Pillay into the top 10. Chris Stolz, and I just see yellow flags for Fears. Unfortunately, the double 2 going and lining up in a bit of a problem. 22 might have gotten it all out of shape. He does look a little bit dinged up from early on in the race, and ventures off into the distance, parks it in the track.
Ooh.
Freewheels it back, just trying to get himself sorted, and flat on the gas to try and turn himself around. So yeah, we're up into our top 10. 11th is Chris Soles, along with Darren Miller. Tyler Humphries in 13th. 14th, Conor Bergstrom, as he makes his way around the track. Then we've got Jason Farmer sporting a new set of livery for the Luxury Time Racing Machine, going for gold, I would say. Then you got Ruan van der Race in the bright pink GSR gold. How's that one? Pink is the new gold. Shaul Guerrero in 17th. 18th is Mahath Musa, Nico Zavaris, Jean Leroux, Nicholas Crook down in 21st. 22nd, Sean Fears, Werner Skuman, Isam Domingo, Jaco Kroblet, Mordred Claessens a little bit further down, 26th. 27th is Ruan Heineke, Eric Kirstein, SES Days, Jaco Kutzer, along with Paul Fenter. And then we've got Viertia Buerta and Alan Patterson rounding out our field at the moment. Alan has done 1 pit stop and will be looking to play a little bit of a long game here.
Yes, well, and unfortunately getting some early contact, putting him at the back of the pack, but great to see him back on the circuit and still continuing. I'm really glad to see him back on track. And yeah, keep on pushing, Ali. You never know what's going to happen with this weather. Anything can happen. Well, the track, I believe, is already starting to dry up, Stephen, as it was swing from wet to a damp track. So in about 10 or so minutes, maybe even less, the drain is going to stop, meaning that the track will start to dry out, but it won't jump to optimum just yet. It will go through the phases, go from damp to greasy to fast and then to wet, to optimum again. It depends on how much rubber is being laid down by the drivers to create that optimal line again.
Well, I've got a question for you. Who do you think has dropped the most amount of positions in this race so far?
Most amount of positions, you say, eh? Well,
without looking and cheating.
Well, I need to think back in terms of what the start was, but most dropped. Let me look here.
Look at the order.
I think Werner Skuman.
Werner Skuman dropped 17 positions. Started in 6th and ended in. He's currently in 23rd. Second to that.
Definitely did not cheek.
Yeah.
Second to that is Eric Kirstein with 12.
Yeah. 12 down. But highest gains has to go to Nicholas, putting himself 12 positions from where he started in 32nd, and now is up to 20th position. So good running on him, but good to see the drivers still putting in a consistent effort. But being said, this is before drivers are running into, well, more of the trickier conditions. A bit of an accident happening between the 296 of Jude Neville and the likes of Johan Kleinans, number 11 car. Jude getting a little bit out of shape, trying to bring it back. Side by side they go. A little bit of room in for the apex, backed out of it. Light touch, and Jude just getting an extra bit of touch there. I'm not quite sure. Looks more little bit on the racing incident sort of line, but definitely going to have the drivers sitting back and going, breathe.
Breathe. Yeah, I mean, me and you've been both on that side of the red mist, shouting at one another just to calm down and breathe. And yeah, so I agree. Bit of a racing incident, no harm, no foul. Just a bit of a rub in his race now, I would say. It's nothing has been lost too much. So, but it's good to see the racing. I'm not gonna lie, I like the racing.
Drivers doing everything they can to improve and do everything they can to keep up the climb, but still a majority of the drivers needing to do 2 pit stops. Now, Werner Skuman has tried getting it through. Do you think a lot of these drivers, instead of switching over to wets or worrying about any of that, they've been focusing on just trying to drive it through at the moment, see where they can end up, and hoping that the track will dry up, taking that gamble? Do you think the drivers are possibly looking to the clouds, seeing what's around and going, maybe, just maybe, would it be an idea?
Well, they will of course have their own respective teams in their ears saying, okay, well, the rain's going to stop in this amount of time, and then we'll be going and just in terms of strategy, as we see, the rain has kind of already stopped now, as I was saying that. So they will say either drive through it or stick it out. Depends on what the grip levels are, and they will also be keeping an eye on what the times are that their opponents are running, and if there's a drop in their performance compared to the other drivers, or if there's a gain. So I think most drivers will probably go. I don't think we've seen anybody stop for wet tires, but will go and rather try and stick out the rain. It's a 10-minute spell. Yes, the track will get a bit wet, but if you play it carefully and be smart about it, you won't be punished as hard in terms of losing time. You'll just have to be careful. Track limits will be a bit more known now. You will get punished for that still, no matter if it's wet or dry. It's not very forgiving, this track, and that's been like that for who knows how long with the rain. If it rains, normally it will give it's a bit more forgiving, but on this circuit it is not. So I think drivers will be, as I said, rather sticking it out to the very end to try and not go and do that extra stop from chasing from dry to wet to dry again. Just try and stick it out, do that one stop, get the dry tires on, and go on from there.
I mean, this is always the difficulty, is trying to figure out what is going to work, how you're going to improve it, and where everyone is on circuit. I mean, this is one of the things that to touch on. As a driver, what do you have at hand that you can say, okay, what do I need to do to move forward? What are the different things, other than having a voice in your head saying, it's about to stop raining, and you're looking up and going, yeah, well, buddy, I can see that. What else as a driver, the tools at hand that you can use to move yourself further up?
Well, of course, the strategy. And as you said, yeah, the driver saying, yeah, it's about to stop raining. Again, there's multiple tools such as the ACC drive that I believe gives a bit more of an in-detail look of how the weather is going to be like and what they can do. But if the drivers do decide to stick it out on dries without changing, it's all about pace and strategy. When do you want to pit first? When do you want to go for that undercut, or maybe even try and steal for an overcut? If a driver goes and changes to a new set of dries too quickly, they will be ice blocks, as we see Bago Grobler from the lead jumping into the pits. Now, this also is a bit of a tricky part. The pit lane is wet. You do not know where that brake limit is, but he is nailing it. He nailed it perfectly there. You don't want to go too early and change to dry tires, because what's going to happen? They're going to be ice blocks. You're going to slide around. You're going to struggle to get heat into those tires. It's going to be a bit difficult. So it's going to be interesting what tires Bago decides to put on. I'm assuming it's going to be dry tires again, but we'll see once he drops and heads out what the tires are, as we can see from those tires there that it's dry tires. From the yellow markings, I believe the wet tires have a little bit of a red spot on them to differentiate them between the two of them.
Oh, there's a bit of colour changing. Maybe we're going to see a bit of turquoise.
Ooh, tire spin there. Oh boy.
So we've got drivers going all the way through, but one thing I do want to point out is take a look at the track map currently out on screen. This shows us where everyone is on circuit. You can see a little bit more broken up in the middle sector, but everyone else rather close by. Thoughts on the race as it progresses, because this is another tool that a lot of the drivers will be looking at trying to utilize. How and where they're going to be on circuit, what's going to be gaining advantage, what's going to be losing out on the top running order. This is also one of the tools as a driver that you do want to use and utilize it as much as possible.
Well, yeah, as you said, Stephen, it's about that. I looked at Bago here just to get an indication of how much positions that might drop. He went from 1st all the way to 13th. That's about 12 positions dropped right there immediately. So it's about, even if he hits the pit stop perfectly, with a very good characteristic of the Porsche here is, for some reason, when they drop the car off of its pneumatic jacks, that rear end just bounces, meaning you spin the tires, they bump up.
We just had a bit of a moment with Crystal, St. John Pillay, and it looks like Darren Miller came into the body of it, just narrowly avoiding it. But this is Crystal's onto the back of St. John Pillay, as they were fighting into the top 10. And it looks like it also helped Tyler Humphries a little bit. So Miller around the outside. Oh, deep send. Chris missed his brake marker. The two of them came to blows. Unfortunately, a bit of a love tap, but it did bring Tyler Humphries a little bit closer. Mac van der Merwe into the pits as well, out of the top running. Conor Bergstrom right onto the back of Sanjan Pillay, now looking to really push as hard as he can. And Sanjan Pillay sporting a bit of damage to the left-hand side of his car. Now, we always talk about getting a warning saying, hey, listen, you got a bit of aero damage on the car. A side-on impact like that, do you think will be a little bit more detrimental to the drive, or do you think it's going to be a little bit more, not as much on this track?
There might be some damage, it might have a bit of an impact there, but I just looked at the pit stop times there. Bago Grobler only sits still for 9 seconds. That's only fuel. That's only fuel on no tires. Mac van der Merwe went and did a 32-second stop, so that's new rubber going onto that car plus fuel. He's going to try and do that final splash and dash there right at the end. That's why we see such a big gap between where he came out compared to where Bago came out. There's a big difference there, but every other driver will now see, okay, Mac van der Merwe was in the pits for a bit longer, got tires on, meaning that he's dropping back down. He lost about a total of 16 positions from where he initially started. So it's a bit of an impact, and this will be weighing on the conscience of everybody who hasn't pitted it, such as Daniel Rowe, Meijering van Veen, and Jan Kleinans. Everybody in the basically top 10 trying to fight out for that win, and this is going to play into the advantage. You can go and run on the dry tires with this little wet spell that we've had, but you have to be very, very careful. The tires will be hurt from that initial dry spell that was there, and the wet just cooled them down. You do not want to damage them anymore. It's a give and take in this type of thing. Side
by side, Jude Neville getting the pass on Kleinans, who tries to defend back, but unfortunately the Ferrari getting a little bit squirrely on him. So Jude Neville getting a pop over Johan Kleinans, and to the crowd's excitement as well. But a couple of things happening here in RaceFace that we can talk about now that we hit the 43-minute mark. We've got our new sponsors jumping on board. We've got SA Lube, big shout out to them. Ottendorf Machinery Mart, a new sponsor coming through. But in the works, guys, we're going to have a little bit more going on. We're going to have a little bit more in the social media department. We're going to have a little bit more possible prizes, possible races, and even a new type of expansion here in the world of RaceFace. Keep an eye out on Discord, keep an eye out on Facebook, on all our social medias. Life's about to pop right here at RaceFace.Pro. Just letting a little bit of cat out of the bag. I know that I wasn't meant to, and I'm going to rob a line out of the Herber's book here. I will ask for forgiveness later than permission. But at least it's now to just build up that hype, a bit more excitement. So keep an eye out. Something is definitely happening. There's a bit of a change in the waters right here at RaceFace.Pro. Interesting times. Chris Soules, though, very fast driver, very consistent usually. Down into 11th position. He's got Johan Bego Krobler all over him. And Bego Krobler is not going to back down from the fight. He's going to keep putting the pressure on, trying to improve, trying to step up the game and get going. As we see, that looks to be Alan Patterson pulling into the pits.
This will be a normal pit stop, I believe, for Alan Patterson. As we see Rowe, Kleinans, Rodeo, De Villiers, Pillay and Humphries all jumping to pits with Van der Rijs going in and doing that one mandatory pit stop there. Now this will shake up and see who takes tires, who does not take tires, and who just wants to do a quick little splash and dash there. So I'm looking at the times here to see what's going on here.
Would you take tires? This 41 minutes into the race, you've just come out of a bit of a wet spell, you drove through it. Would you take tires?
Well, that's depending, Stephen. As I can tell you already, Daniel Rowe took tires where his teammate did not take tires, and that only cost him out well, just behind Chris Stalls, who I think still needs to pit. So not much of a big shake-up there. Mac Van Merwe, who did take tires, we do know that for certain. Jan McLean took tires, Rodeo took tires, Daniel De Villiers took tires, and it seems that Sanjay Pillay has taken also tires with some work being done on that Ferrari, about 2 seconds more work done on that car. And yeah, De Villiers also taken tires. So majority of the field that have done their boxing.
Oh no! No, Sanjay Pillay with the disqualification.
That is a speeding in the pits, I believe.
That would have been entry, wouldn't it?
I don't know. We can take a look. We can take a look back on his pit entry and see what happened there.
Okay, well, if you can leave you to do that one, we do have a drive-through penalty for one of our drivers. That is Nicholas getting a drive-through. But Sanjay Pillay, who was on an almighty charge, has now been disqualified out of the race. Round 1 of the RaceFace GT3 Championship, Season 18. And that is him out.
Oh, gut-wrenching for the Alpha 1 Esports. I'm still trying to get some info here, but that's strange in terms of what happened there.
If he scored he scored a penalty, it might have been that, or he kept accelerating. So coming out of the box, the pit limiter was off and just accelerated as fast as he could. And it just took the car well over 100 km an hour down pit lane.
Might be, Stephen. I'm trying to, let's quickly look here. I'm on my side here, scrambling around, trying to see what I can get here. But that's gut-wrenching for Sanjay Pillay, who was on a magnificent race there. Let's see what happened to him on this one here. I'll let you know.
I mean, that was just absolutely heart-wrenching of note to see that it's all turned topsy-turvy and racers trying to figure it out. Well, Sean Herrera, though, going to be quite happy. He's ahead of teammate. And yes, you have got a bit of information for us because...
yeah, sorry about that, Stephen. I just saw what happened here. He got the pit entry perfectly, didn't cut the pit entry line there. But I can tell you already, when he hit the brakes and crossed that line, he hit a magnificent... Now, normally it's about 70 kph. He hit it at 100 plus.
Right.
No, it's a 50. It's a 50 kilometers an hour pit entry. He hit it at 100 plus. That is more than enough sufficient evidence for a disqualification. Unfortunately, just missing the normal slowdown zone where you would want to slow down, and unfortunately accelerating into it. Oh boy, the drama is here, ladies and gentlemen.
Man, oh man, Sanjay Pillay going and pushing out a little bit hard. Sean Herrera, though, also pushed a bit hard, landed off into the weeds and gave up a position to Jason Farmer, who is all over the back of Chris Saul. Now, Jason Farmer was the defending, correct me if I'm wrong here. No, was he the defending? No, Alan Patterson won Pro-Am. Jason Farmer was second.
And Sean was, I believe, third in class.
Yes.
Yes. Well, the two LTR drivers hunting down Alan Patterson in our previous season, but Alan Patterson holding it down and getting the overall win there. And now they're in the pro class, and now they're fighting it out.
Well, that's it. I mean, this is quite exciting to see drivers, progressing their way through. Now, I know it's something we touched on going and talking about academy drivers, and we talk about having the new blood coming in, but it's also nice to see a couple of the old blood, or the veterans, the original guard, if you can call it that, going and jumping into the higher classes, as we see Crystal's going all types of defense, and Jason Farmer.
How was that not contact?
I think that was just a little bit close for both comforts, but Jason Farmer decided the only way he was going to get that booked past was to absolutely give it everything he's got. That does set up Sean Lerero to go and look on the inside to go for a pass, and forcing Chris out wide. I think both of them identified that Chris was on a major defense and said, okay, right, the only way we're going to get this right is by putting him in the worst possible scenario, and that is properly putting it into the top. I see Mahath Musa coming in to the grandstands, shouting all the way for Andre Serradio, who's also been doing quite a stellar drive at the moment. He's up into 7th position. Bago Krobler has gone into the pits, along with Jude Neville has pulled into pits, so that should be Bago's final pit stop being done. But that allows Van Veen to go and start leading out the entire race, with Conor Bergstrom in 2nd place at the moment, both needing to do their mandatory pit stops. Daniel Rowe moves up into 3rd place. He's done a pit stop already. Then you have got the likes of Mac van der Merwe in 4th. Andre Serradio coming past Jude Neville, so he moves up into 5th position. Jude Neville down into 6th. Daniel the Hitman de Villiers just too far back. Thriller Miller just taking a look at it, but it means Bago Krobler is where the benchmark is at.
Well, I watched his pit stop, timed it there, and he was in the pits for 32 seconds stationary. That's meaning he did take tires, and I looked at the track status, and he timed it perfectly. When he boxed for 9 seconds, his 9-second stop was only fuel. When he did that, it was still about a damp, greasy surface. Currently, it's at optimum, the track surface now, meaning that the tires won't be cold, they won't become ice blocks, they will get their mark, they will keep the temperature that's in them, giving him optimal grip as best as you possibly can. This has turned out to be perfect for him in terms of his strategy, as he will now be able to claw his way forward, get through, just have to navigate through some of these back markers that are currently, well, not back markers, but other drivers still need to do a pit stop, and this will maximize him perfectly there. And yeah, so that's all the top stops they've done and dusted. And a little bit of a fun fact for you, Stephen, and for our commentators, our spectators out in the grandstands. Speed trap for the fastest car on circuit is the BMW of Andre Serradio with a whopping 274 kilometers an hour. That is something that Mohamed Musa will definitely be cheering on about. That BMW is flying.
Well, when it's all hooked up and you gotta go, you gotta go. So Jaco Krobler keeping Nico at bay and letting him go by. So Jaco getting a little bit more out the way for fellow driver Zafaris. I've actually had a chat to Jaco about where we've seen him get a little bit arms out, elbows out. I mean, you got to experience it on Tuesday. The very few times that he actually gets a little bit out and gets into a fight. He's not a driver that wants to get into side-by-side battles. I asked him, why is that? Why don't you like getting into that fight? First thing he said to me is, just not knowing what's happening on the side of me, what they're going to do, makes it a little bit nerve-wracking, especially in GT cars, because suddenly gets into that blind spot and you can't quite see it. You can hear the engine, but you're not quite sure. And that's one of the reasons that he prefers to stick out of big gaggle fights and rather focus on just his own race. So very interesting to have a chat to the different drivers during the off-season of what do they prefer, getting into those big boisterous fights, going door to door, pushing each other off circuit, or whether just relaxing back a little bit and allowing it to go. But you get to see a couple of drivers just put their arms out and get into a good fight. I mean, let's take a look back to last season. Q Duplessis on the circuit got into a fight with likes of Daniel Rowe in the final round at Red Bull Ring, the first time he's ever raced around the circuit. Jumps on, goes door to door with his fellow teammates, and the first thing he said is, I wanted him to the side of me. I wanted him on my rear panel the whole time because I could dictate where that driver was going to go, how far I can push him off the circuit, or how far I can push him off my racing line just by straightening up.
Yeah, well, that's a skill that comes with some experience that comes along. But as you said, the Jaco Grobler, as you see, Bagger Grobler, they're making a move on Tyler Humphries here. Yeah, but Jaco Grobler, a very good driver. I love sharing the track with him. A skilled one also. As we see, Isham Domingo, they're facing the wrong way there, buddy. It's the track's the other way around there. I think getting a bit too early on the throttle, maybe. Let's see what happens here.
The beaver teeth saw the trees and decided I've got to build my dam.
I think the beaver teeth saw the trees and said, damn, and then had to stop and take a second look at that tree.
Oh, never mind. He avoided one of the hell divers and came back across the rear.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Well, good avoidance there from John LaRue, I believe there. But
I don't think it was avoidance of John LaRue, but that leaned more into luck. That was
luck was the other one.
That was Lady Luck was in the pit at the moment, and bless thy soul sort of moment for it, because Isham Domingo had no control. He became a passenger in his own car, waiting for the impact, and unfortunately, it was
doing a good job of holding brakes, though.
Yeah, no, he did a brilliant job in that, but unfortunately, having a car disappearing off into your blind spots and narrowly missing, I think when he comes back watching the stream, or even having the team watching the stream, going, that was a little bit on the closer side of things. Let's dial it back a bit here. We don't want to ding the BMW just as yet. This is round 1 of 8 rounds of the race, happening every Thursday night. So, ladies and gentlemen, please do join in for the racing. We're into the 30-minute mark, and taking a look over to the grandstand. It's got a little bit of a chat from Mahath Bussa, going and saying, yeah, game dropped about 30 frames per second during quali. Tried to push it through, but when the rain and the pit stop came, it dropped down to 20 FPS. My friend, don't complain about that, because I generally race at 20 FPS to 30 FPS, because the little hamster in here can't really take the impact. But when we talk about FPS, we've got a lot of new drivers coming in, a lot of new talent, a lot of new blood coming into the world of sim racing, asking what on earth is FPS and how does that affect us? I mean, Cameron, you're in the IT world. Give us a breakdown of what is FPS.
Well, Stephen, there's FPS in the gaming time. It refers can be two things. It can either be first-person shooters such as your Counter-Strike or Rainbow Six Siege. However, in racing, we also refer to it as frames per second, and even in computers in general, the frames per second. As it says, the amount of frames that you get per second. So, if you get 30 frames, that means 30 frames per that second, and it helps the drivers see a bit more in terms of what's on the track. They'll be able to, everything will be more smoother. You'll be able to spot your brake points easier. It's just a bit more smoother for your brain to notice, and doesn't have a big impact in terms of your fatigue. If you run at a lower FPS, it does have the impact of put strain on your eyes. You struggle to focus a lot, and it does knock the wind out of your sails, especially in endurance races. Now, the issue comes with your refresh rate in terms of your monitors. You get those 240 Hz monitors, you get those 165. It's just about getting them right, and just getting the right one there. I believe a study that was done by a YouTube channel called Linus Tech Tips, if you want to go watch it, where they took a CSGO Pro Kenny S, I think that's not Kenny S, sorry. It's I'm gonna get called out on this one, but he's a Cloud9 player. Went and gone and played on different monitors with different refresh rates, and improved. The higher the refresh rate, the better reaction you can get. So better reaction in terms of your refresh of your hertz, your refresh rate for your monitor, plus the more frames you get means that your reaction time as a driver will be much better. You'll be able to avoid accidents, see little mistakes. It's all about getting a bit more of a better experience, one would say. You'll be able to spot more. You'll be reacting faster. It's all about those little things. But sometimes, as you said, you can get top-end monitors, 240 hertz, 500 hertz. I heard there was also already out there, and
there's a 500 hertz that's at 1080p.
Asus.
Yeah, 1080p that you can also flick a switch and go to 1440 at 4K. I think it was something bizarre like that, where it's this proper esports monitor. Far more than I think any average Joe's budget can go, and I wouldn't be running 500 hertz triple screen on my sim rig, that's for certain, because
it does take a lot. It takes a lot out of your system. To get that refresh rate, it takes a lot of your power supply. Does have a bit of an impact there, but no, refresh rates and FPS all play a crucial part in getting that bit more competitive edge, one would say, over your competition, both in racing and FPS shooters. So the more you know regarding that. But if you do want to know a bit more, I'm more on the coding side in terms of IT. If you do want to go look more and go look up for a video from Linus Tech Tips where they compare the refresh rate with, I just remember the CSGO player's name, Shroud, a Canadian player, I believe, who was one of North America's top players, where they noticed that even he noticed with a high refresh rate, you'll be able to perform better. So the more you know, but don't go and spend a lot of money in terms of getting the top spec, as Steven said. It would be best just to go for a Samsung Odyssey G3, not the ultra wide ones, I would say, if you want to run triple, but even with a single monitor. That comes back to what you said with the likes of Grobler there, Steven. Some drivers run triples, meaning they can see their mirrors and see what the cars are next to them. Sometimes you would say only run with one monitor, which is a bit less strain on GPU. But on that point, you have to rely on your spotter, your in-game spotter, or your friends spotting you in terms when you are in the car. So it's all about a give or take. You get a lot more in terms of field of view if you run triples, but you lose a lot. You have to sometimes run at a lower quality in terms of your game. Because your GPU might not be strong enough, and we all know that GPUs might be a bit expensive.
Well, there's one thing that I've got to say, coming from the real world perspective, that I take my hat off to every sim racer that's currently out getting into these monstrous fights. I mean, we've seen some amazing shots here where guys are literally racing on top of one another. We've got teammates racing on top of one another. I have to take my hat off to the volume that you need, because you look at a screen, it's 2D, that's it. I've raced in VR, and I found that was actually far more comfortable for a person like myself. Yes, it basically punched my PC in the gut, but I found being in a bit more space, having a bit more volume around me, made it a bit easier, because suddenly I had control of where I wanted to be, where I wanted to look in that 2D space. Now, I know some do run like a Tobii eye tracker, or they use some eye tracking software that allows them to do it with a, with a single screen, or even a triple, or even ultra wides, where you can just turn your eyes or turn your head slightly, head tracking, to get it all sorted out. Just to get that sort of volume coming into play, to give you a bit of an edge. And that's what competitors are looking for, is what's going to give you that edge over the competition, what's going to be the next step for you to go for it. But you don't have to go the direct drives, you don't have to go the very expensive gear that you see out on the shows. You don't have to go with seeing what even us as sim racers, because let's be honest here, we've all spent a fair chunk on our sim racing, as we see Jakob Rutzer going to spend a fair chunk of his brakes into turn one, but Nico just able to pip him right into turn one, goes for the cutback side by side, and the McLaren still sticking it out right up behind the rear wing. But go with your budget.
Yeah, that's the thing I would always tell everybody, Stephen. Go with the budget that you have. Do not go, and spend all of that money, for example, on no, you have to get a direct drive wheel, you have to get this, you have to do that. I mean, I started on a very, very old Logitech wheel. In terms, I believe it was called the NASCAR edition. They were styled in terms of the NASCAR wheels back then, and I got that when I was what, I think maybe 6, 7 years old with my sister. We got Need for Speed Underground, the original one, and we played it, and that's how we started. I used that in my first ever real races, starting with a local community with one of the content creators here in South Africa, and from there on, I jumped into a T150, and then T300. And at one point, I mean, I won with the T300 a championship, and then I said, listen, I'm jumping onto direct drive, but again, budget permitted. And then you get drivers who go and put on butt kickers and shakers on their rigs to get the motion of the car to feel a bit more. But that again, it's all budget, all permitted regarding how much money you can put towards a sim rig. And I think what you have to get to a certain point where you will say, okay, enough has been spent in terms of that. Let's look at PCs, and you have to think about the long game. You can't continuously upgrade every single now thing. Long game is the key part. Upgrade the more key components, and the more key components that you need. For example, GPU, CPU, and motherboard needs to be compatible with both of them, of course. And then go and look at other stuff. Focus on the stuff that can give you the better performance first, instead of going and spending it on top spec stuff. You don't need top spec to be fast. Look at South African sim racer Jordan Sherritt. He raced on a what? Logitech G920, I believe, or G29.
Yes, and then you had Kieran Patterson, who
yes,
was on a T300 before moving to a Fanatec.
Direct drive, and still kicked our bums.
He moved on to a Fanatec Club Sport as a wheel at one point before moving into the direct drives. But take a look at Bego Krobler. Now, we've been going on and talking about tech, we're talking about FPSs, we're talking about all the exciting, the world of what's to come. But Darren Miller now going and fighting out with Bego Krobler. Do you think it's worth getting into a fight with Bego Krobler, considering he's done all these pit stops by doing it?
I don't think so. No, I'm gonna say directly, there's no point in fighting him with him completing all of his stops. Different strategies, and he knows that Bago has much better pace. Even there's no point in fighting it, as we saw that he actually just let him through.
Hit the brakes. Yeah. Now just hear Cameron Bastos say there is no point in fighting that car right now.
I'm only saying it because I'm on the other side. I'm not in the car. But also, that's one thing I have learned when I first joined RaceFace was, funny enough, from a driver called Philip Minnar. He's currently racing for the LFM team, where he was in an Aston, we were on Donington, and I fought him. And he was on a different strategy, and I was like, nope, I want to fight this man. As we see a Paul Fainter there going a bit of an excursion and definitely not hitting a wall this time. So Paul the Wall Fainter missing the wall. But Buerta drive through, okay, that's a bit for speeding in the pit lane, but not as much as getting a disqualification. Not enough speed being carried in there, or it's track limits. I think it's track limits.
I lean on track limits there.
Much better track limits there. But I would normally fight people. But yeah, Philip Minnar taught me an expensive lesson by saying, do not go and fight if you're on different strategies. Learn it the hard way.
All right. Well, a couple of interesting things coming in. We had Sanjan Pillay retire out of the race, well, disqualified out of the race. We've also lost 2 more cars, so we're down to 30 cars in the grid. But we do have Hansi Myberg going and saying, he also landed up with a problem getting off the pit limiter a little bit too early and got caught up in it. Hansi, I know you're out there in the grandstands. I'd love if you can run to the commentary box just for a quick chat while we've got 18 minutes left, just for a quick chat, since you're one of the admins and pushing into making sure everything's all right. But running through our order, Daniel Rowe out at first place, Marjan van Vin in second place, Mac van der Merwe in third, fourth Andre Serradio, Daniel de Villiers in fifth, sixth Bego Krobler, Darren Miller in seventh, eighth Conor Bergstrip, ninth is Quinn Debussy, 10th place Werner Skuman as it stands, fighting it out. June Neville down into 11th position, 12th Johan Kleinens, Jason Farmer, Tyler Humphreys with Sean Herrera immediately onto the back of him. Ryan Finn Race, Crystals a little bit further down. And then 18th is likes of Jean Fafiers, Jean Leroux, SESAs, Isiam Domingo, Ruin Heineke, Eric Kirstein, Jaco Kobler, Paul Fenter, Nico Zavares, Jaco Hutzer, Vietia Buerta doing his drive-through penalty. Mordre Claessens will get past him, and Alan Patterson rounding out our field. But he's got the keys to the front door. Ladies and gentlemen, the words from Hansi Marburg. Hansi, glad to have you here. And you touched onto a thing that I'm quite excited about. We've got 3 servers, Pro, Pro-Am, and Am, with absolutely stacked grids, and with entries still open for drivers to get become part of the racing, moving into it, to see the numbers coming in. This must be quite an exciting time for yourself, Bertus Hugo, all the admins of RaceFace.Pro.
Yeah, Stephen, when we opened up the entries, it came in like slowly, but all of a sudden the numbers just started jumping, and then when we came a day or two before the race, I called Bertus. I said, listen, we've got a problem. Houston, we've got a problem. Yeah, no, it was just then we had to split up the grids where we always had 2 stacked servers. Obviously, then we went on to 3 stacked servers now, 35 plus drivers on a server. I can't recall how much was in the Pro yet, but there was 35 plus sign-ups there. We had 34 in the Pro-Am, and yeah, I don't know in the Am what we had there, but yeah, so it's like 35 sign-ups per server. So yeah, I'm still stunned by it, and yeah.
I mean, lots of hard work in the background, lots of guessing games, and I mean, from an administrative perspective, setting a championship up like this where it's either going to work or it's not, or you're going to have your highs and lows in it. We know that you've been putting tireless hours to it. Take us through a bit of the process of getting a season started. I mean, this is round 1, season 18. I mean, that is already by itself a monumental achievement for not only the admin, but also to the community, going and deciding, hey, look, let's keep going. There's something here. Keep knocking on that door. How's it to kick it off for the start, and now with the new transition that's gone over, originally from sign-ups on the RaceFace.Pro website, suddenly now the sign-ups onto SimGrid, and there is something in the pipeline. We're not going to let anyone know about it because not yet, but keep an eye on it through the pipeline. We've got so much going on. The new transition over to SimGrid, the new penalty system coming into play, utilizing the SimGrid penalty systems. There's been so many administrative changes in such a short span of time, as we see a little bit of argy-bargy between Werner Skuman and Jude Neville as we talk about administration.
Okay, yeah, so on the admin side, I'm just going to break it down shortly. I mean, firstly, we go out and we plan, obviously, the tracks, what tracks we're going to use. We're on season 18, so we'll go back and check the history. Oops, somebody's knocking at each other there. We'll go back on the history, check on what tracks we've flashing. History of the tracks and see what we've raced and what we've not raced. And yeah, we'll work according to that, and then yeah, put out a calendar, and then obviously do all the programming on SimGrid, setting up the whole event, and then from there I'll copy it to 1, 2, or 3 Pro-Am, and Am. Nice fighting there.
Oh, that's Jude Neville and Werner Skuman now. Well, I think it's gone from just a simple fight to now Johan Kleinhansman's getting involved into the fight as well. Turns it, a bit of a boxing match between it. But,
yeah, and then basically from there it's just sign-ups. I mean, then we have to get the people to sign up. The only headache obviously was when we went on to splitting the server up. I mean, we had the middle server that had to re-sign up everybody, because the top server you could just move people across from Pro-Am to Pro, and then the bottom server you could have moved AM silver to AM gold, but it was a middle server that was the issue. I had to obviously cancel all those drivers and reset up a new server on that one, and people had to re-register, but obviously that went smooth, or it went quite smooth. Just had one or two little hiccups, but other than that, everything went good.
I've got to say, it's absolutely tremendous stuff to hear the hard work that goes into it, and a bit of a spice up onto that. But also the new sponsors jumping on board. I know that's a bit of an exciting one for it, having Ondorf Machinery Mart now part of the championship, having SA Lube being part of the championship going forward. I mean, these are two new sponsors that at one point, not too long in the past, weren't even a thing right here at RaceFace.Pro, but more and more starting to raise an eyebrow and saying, hey, there is an opportunity here.
Yeah, we're working on the sponsors in the background, but there is something I have not posted as yet. So for those guys watching the stream, Ordenhoff has sponsored first place pro driver a toolbox. I will be posting a picture of the toolbox. It's a toolbox. It's worth about like $3,900 or $4,000. So that's going to the first place of pro. And yeah, we might be working on something else, but yeah, that's for now. We've got that sponsor of Ordenhoff as a toolbox for first place in pro.
Okay, so, well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I didn't even know about that. But for everyone joining us in the commentary live, you got to hear the breaking news at 9:45 at night of what's on the lines for our pro class. A toolbox that is varying on to about $4,000 worth, if I'm correct in saying,
yep,
of everything that you need to get going. So that is an absolute proper banger with Ondorf Machinery Mod coming into play. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, okay, we've had trophies going out to drivers. That was made for the iRacing part. We've had prize money go out as well. Now we're getting all these other fun little prizes coming in, and does spice it up a little bit. Cameron, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling like I should be a pro out there on the track.
Well, I've had my fair share of them, but it's, of battles on track. I prefer the iRacing side from my side now, but who knows? Maybe with some extra spice here. Depends. I think I might be a bit too slow now to go into the pro class, but yeah, it's great to see Ordenhoff coming on board and seeing, as we said again, seeing that there's a future for South Africa sim racing, and they want to be a part of it, helping add more to that incentive of racing and giving back towards our community now. And yeah, that toolbox $4,000 is definitely a very nice little toolbox, but it's definitely gonna help maintaining the rig for whoever the lucky winner is, make it a bit better to maintain that rig for peak performance.
Okay, so, well, I'm going to end this off quite quickly. I know there's lots of people asking it because we're now heading into the final 10 minutes of the race. Hansi Myberg, you're a driver that has been consistent in all your time. You do fall off the track every so often when I tend to show the camera. I don't know why. But you're not in the car. What happened in the Pro-Am server?
I must say the weather caught me out in a bit. I have not practiced a single lap in the last week. I've just been setting up servers and doing admin work. I mean, I got into the car the first time tonight on quali basically, and yeah, we got a full-on rain server, so yeah, there's no prep at all. And then race started on dry, and then we went on to wet, so I went into the pits quickly to do whatever I need to do to get the car ready for rain. And as I exited the pits, I went off the limiter a little bit too quickly, so got a DSQ.
Well, Sanjan Pillay will also be joining you on that one, landing up with a similar problem as well. But Hansi, big thank you from all our sides for all the hard work that you put in behind the scenes. And ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Monster news that has been put out that even our drivers currently on circuit don't even know about right now, which, you know, it's rather exciting. I love to see that. And so we will be keeping an eye out on the live point standing, seeing where guys are going to finish up through the course of the season, try and give it to you as quick as possible of who will be where. But Hansi Marburg, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's not your usual forte to come to the commentary box, but absolutely tremendous stuff to see you taking a bit of time, and hopefully race 2 next week going to be a little bit easier, a little bit more fun.
Settled in then. Yeah, no, I'll be settled in definitely. And we're also working on getting up a stream for the Pro-Am and the Am drivers as well. We hopefully got some good news as well. I've just received a message. Somebody could maybe assist us. So yeah, let's see what we can do.
Ooh, exciting times. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, keep your eyes firmly glued to the screens. Hit that subscribe button, bell notification icon, and the thumbs up. But Hansi, no offense, buddy, we're going to go back to the racing action and see it all go.
Sure. Just.
Cheers, Hansi Marburg of Team Try Hard Racing, RaceFace.Pro. Right out in the front, Daniel Rowe leading the charge. One pit stop to go. Then we got Martin van Veen going and running in second place, also needing to get his pit stop done and dusted. Mac van der Merwe doing a great job in third place with Andre Serradio in fourth. Fifth is Bego Grobler, who is right up there. I think maybe the earlier pit stop worked out for him. Darren Miller down in sixth. Connor Bergstrom in seventh. Eighth place is Grundy also done his pit stop, so he will be moving up as time goes on. Jude Neville in ninth. In 10th place, Werner Skuman. But with 6 minutes to go and only a few drivers needing to box, Cameron, this is a stressful situation. This is where the question comes in. Did I leave it too late? Did I leave it right to the end? And will it work out for me in the long run? Daniel Rowe is going to be having that question running through his head. Finn will be running through his head. Mac van der Merwe as well will be thinking about that and the next traffic ticket he's going to issue.
Well, as you said, Stephen, yeah, now it comes the question of did I have the right call? Did I leave it a bit too late? Was my teammate a bit better in terms of his strategy there? But now it's all about all-out pace. I mean, Bego Grobler 7 seconds behind Andre Serradio and closing down fast, with Andre being 12 seconds behind the car in front of him in terms of Mac van der Merwe. These top four still all have to pit there. As we see a move there from Rian van der Race trying to get past the luxury time racing of Sean Loureiro there. Oh boy, some good up close personal battles there. I think tonight we see a lot of Ferraris there, and no, this is not a one make brand. This is multiple cars, people just choosing the Ferrari for its very good performance and quite fast on some of the circuits for our Canada here. But no, I think now it's a bit of a gamble between Bego Grobler and Daniel Rowe. These two being going pace for pace, dealing blow to blow to one another, very, very close to one another in terms of racing. So now it's just seeing who goes there. But yeah, you mentioned earlier that we lost some of our drivers, and one of them that I got a little note handed from the team is Nicholas Kukic saying there that unfortunately he had a mechanical failure in terms of the blue screen, some electronics not working out and packing up there. Hopefully they can get it sorted and he'll be back on track next week for the next round.
Oh man, our international driver just running into a bit of trouble. So Nicholas giving us a bit of an insight into it. And yeah, this seems to be the ebbs and flows of the race, unfortunately, as Daniel Rowe gets out. Will it be in front of Bego Grobler? It may have been.
Oh.
It may have been. Daniel Rowe got ahead of Bego Grobler. He took the gamble and got ahead of Bego Grobler. So Johan Bego Grobler will be now scratching his head, going, come on, why? What would I have needed to done? What was that one step more that could have gotten me that position?
I can tell you the answer to that, Stephen. I can tell you the answer to that. It's 4 seconds. Bego Grobler was stationary for 4 seconds longer, adding a bit more fuel than what the Lamborghini needed. I mean, maybe Lamborghini much more lights on fuel than it needed, and the Porsche is they're both just different fuel consumption, and Bego only stationary for 5 seconds instead of 9. That Bego Grobler had Daniel Rowe stationary for 5 seconds instead of Bego Grobler, who was stationary for 9 seconds. So that is a difference between first and second in this race. 4-second pit stop.
Well, currently out on circuit, that's a close fight, is Van Veen and Mac van der Merwe. 3 minutes to go. Are going to pit this lap or just go one extra? Can you go one extra? Well, they think so, except for Mac van der Merwe. He says he's not going to go one extra. Van Veen's going to try and push it out a little bit longer. Will Serradio be able to do the same? That is the question. Yes, he's going to do it. So they're going to go one more lap to just try and stretch it out. This would be one lap to get it, because
one more too few. Will it be one lap too many? That's the question.
I actually think so. I think it will be that extra little risk that comes into it that may throw you down the order. But at this point, you're so late into the race. I don't know. Hey, it's a gamble. This is where having someone go and say, okay, let's look at the times to try and work out what's going to be our advantage in the long run, or even knowing who you roughly want to be targeting. What sort of lap times, who's your target driver you want to keep ahead of. Starting to build that little bit of a rivalry, starting to understand the driving at hand. But very, very interesting that Van Veen and Serradio decided that they're going to stretch it out. They're going to keep going. Conor Bergstrom as well, also opting to go one extra lap. So this is a bit interesting. 1 minute 42 to go. One extra lap.
What will we be hearing the Dutch national anthem on our podium? Or will we hear South African national anthem? That's the question.
I can guarantee you we're going to hear a South African national anthem, because here comes Van Veen, and there is no way, absolutely none, that he is going to stay ahead of Daniel Rowe, who we just saw come into shot. Serradio comes into the pits. I mean, Daniel Rowe coming past, getting told he's on the final lap. He will get past both of them, but now it's a fight between himself and fellow teammate Johan Bego Grobler, who was at the top of the charts for quite some time. An early pit stop gamble may have put him down in the run. And then you've got the likes of Conor Bergstrom. He's into the pit, so Mac van der Merwe looking to try and get a bit closer. Will he get the jump? We saw the Mercedes of Van Veen just in shot, rolling out of the pits. Will it be enough? Mac van der Merwe just gets ahead. So Van Veen comes out of the pits, and Duplessis will not be able to get past. He's a little bit too far back. He gets ahead of Serradio, though. Jude Neville now sees Serradio in his midst, but with two back markers ahead of him, Paul Fenter and one of our team tryhard drivers,
Rogue McLaren there, Jaco Kutzer, they're cutting across the rumble strips. Oh boy, not wanting to get involved in that.
Conor Bergstrom out of the top 10 with that late gamble.
That's the beauty of risk and reward. Take the risks, but you can not be rewarded as you would hope, unfortunately. As you see, a beautiful fight here between that's a car 777 of Tyler Humphries and Jason Farmer. Oh boy! Oh! A bit of a loose Ferrari for PWO Alpha, and Jason Farmer getting sideswiped out of the way, unfortunately, and will cost him a lot of positions. Unfortunately, losing two there. Losing 2 positions.
Loureiro and Van der Race going and capitalizing on the run. And unfortunately, not ideal circumstances. Daniel Rowe comes across the line, taking the checkered flag and taking the first win of the season. Bego Grobler comes into second place, which means Mac van der Merwe, if he can keep it all together, will be bringing the KSR Vibe Police JMPD. Whoop whoop. Hang on for the police, taking third place. Then we got Van Veen out for the casual drivers in fourth. Duplessis comes across the line. He's going to be happy with that fight. Andre Serradio comes across in sixth. Jude Neville in seventh place. Werner Skuman comes across the lane in eighth place. Ninth, Daniel, the Hitman de Villiers. Johan Kleinans going and clutching up and scoring that top 10. Just out of the top 10, though, will go to Conor Bergstrom in 11th position. Darren Miller in 12th and 13th is currently Tyler Humphreys at the moment, but Loureiro all over the back of him. Van der Race comes right behind, but I don't think there's going to be a change up there. I think Tyler has done enough to maintain his position ahead of Sean Loureiro. Rian Van der Race comes in 15th. 16th place goes to Jason Farmer, Jean Leroux. Further down, though, 18th is Ruan Heineke, SES Days, Nico Zafaris, Eric Kirstein, Sean Fafiers, along with Jaco Kotze, Paul Fenter, Issam Domingo, also very close on one another, Jaco Kobler, Mordre Claessens, Viertia Buerta, Alan Patterson, rounding out our field. What a race, what a run, what an excitement, and what, I mean, there's a shot.
Oh, look at that shot.
There's a money shot, folks. There's a money.
That's beautiful. Well done, PWSR. Oh, part like a Red Sea. Never mind. That's a bit of a Ferrari that's got dinged up there. But Alan Patterson, congratulations and well done on coming back and still finishing the race. You might be down, but you are a superhero in my book. Well done, Alan. Well done.
It was just nice to see the whole team together and going to be smiling about that one. Wow, oh wow, oh wow. What a proper race it was. What an exciting race for round one. Some really photo moments to be had as the start of the race with all the GT3s just piling into turn one. That by far I think will be the photo to go out if anyone's gonna take it. Take that photo. Just a nice high shot looking at all the GT3s piling into the corner. But what a run. What excitement. What a race.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. It's a lot of action, a lot of drama, a lot of heartbreak, and a lot of triumphs. Well done to everybody out there tonight, and well done on this phenomenal grid. One of the big grids that we've had in a long time, and I think it's great. It's great to see South Africans racing back here. I mean, just look at some of these highlights here. That massive pile going in there, going into turn one there. It's great to see. It's phenomenally great to see.
Yeah, it brings a bit of a warm feeling into your heart, a bit of a fuzzy feeling. Maybe that's just hunger. Got a text bar, but there's definitely a fuzzy feeling there. While we wait to see if we can get a bit of interviews coming in, we do have our first interview. We're going to bring in Bego Krobler, who came second place. Jan Bego Krobler, welcome to the commentary box. Somewhere that you used to all too much. Kettles to the right-hand side, coffees on the left, and the second place trophy is on the way to you. How are you feeling with that run? A bit of a gamble in the end. Unfortunately, didn't quite pay off, but you put in a stellar effort. How are you feeling after that?
Yeah, thanks, Steven. Feeling pretty good. I think it wasn't so much a gamble, it was more of a necessity. So unfortunately on the first stint I ran out of fuel before it stopped raining, so I had to make a decision, either put on the wets on a damp track and risk draining them, or stopping for maybe 5 laps of fuel and then pitting when the track is ready for the new slick. So I decided to do that rather. Yeah, I think worked out okay in the end. Unfortunately, overfueled a bit in the process. I had about 20 liters left in the car when the race finished, but I don't think that would have made too much of a difference. I think me and Daniel were pretty much even Stevens pace-wise whole race, so yeah, it was good.
Now, I've got to ask a question. When suddenly you're busy racing and the rain came down, what went through your head at that moment of just seeing the conditions change in a flash from bright sunny skies to suddenly now you've got a damn track ahead of you?
Yeah, we had a feeling it was going to be, sometimes we get a full wet race, but we had a feeling this was going to be a mixed condition race. What we didn't expect though was that the rain would only last for I think 13 or 14 minutes, whatever it was. But once we saw that, and that was only light rain, I think we all kind of unanimously decided at once in the team chat that we were going to stay out on slicks. It wasn't worth pitting for wets and then having to pit again afterwards for dries. So yeah, good to have the boys around in the chat so we can sort of bounce those ideas off each other. But yeah, we knew we were expecting it from the weather forecast that we got from ANSI. So it wasn't that big of a surprise. But yeah, your butt always clenches a bit when you see the rain coming. So it was interesting.
Well, Cameron, anything you would like to say to Bego Krobler while we got him here and he's not going anywhere. We've locked the door.
Well, first of all, Steven says, you know where the coffee, we know where the kettle is, you know where everything is. There, just leave my rusks alone. I will fight you for them. But no, I'm not. I don't know. I'm not one normally for questions on my side. I'm off the analytical side there. And you mentioned something earlier where you said, well, it doesn't. You don't think about the fuel stop would have been such much of a difference. Here's a little bit of an insight. Bago, you were stopped for 4 seconds longer than Daniel Rowe on that initial stop, and you timed it so perfectly between your two stops. You did the necessary amount of fuel for your first part when it was damp track, and then you stopped again as soon as that track hit optimum. So you had a bit of an upper hand. Unfortunately, fuel just not your best friend today there, and just missing out there with 4 seconds. And look at the gap between you two, 2 second gap. I think you might be kicking yourself a bit now there, but still phenomenal drive out there. I love seeing you guys race, and well done there. And I think unfortunately Lady Luck was not shining upon you tonight there, but still well done, great race, and good luck for the next round.
Yeah, thanks, man. You know, at the start of the race, I was about 10 or 15 liters lighter than Daniel. So that bit of a gap that I built in the first stint was due to that. So I think, you know, level on sort of even fuel loads, the pace was level. So yeah, it was close, but he had my number tonight.
Oh, absolutely tremendous stuff. Well done on a great race. Always exciting. And we look forward to seeing what can happen in round 2 coming up next week. Thank you very much, Jan Bego Krobler, for the interview. What a run there. Let's bring in the likes of third place. Let's bring in Mac van der Merwe. Mac van der Merwe coming into the commentary box, and whoop whoop for the police. What a run for you. How are you feeling after that race?
Yo, Steven, not gonna lie, quite tired. It was a battle and a half. Right on until the final lap. Between me, sorry if I pronounce his name wrong. I don't know how to pronounce it, but what's it, Meren van Veen or whatever, our international guy. It was a battle right till the end. Our first stint was just trading lap times the whole time, and then he decided not to go for the tire stop. At the time, it looked like it's going to work. I thought, well, GG's, he's just outstrated me. But then, luckily for me, and unfortunately for him, he hit a cliff at the end, I think, and made a few mistakes. And then I managed to pip him in the final pit stop. But yeah, it was full push straight through. I'm not going to lie, I'm knackered. But it's good to be back and starting the new season. So yeah, was fun.
Well, Mac, absolutely phenomenal time for yourself. Great job out there. Heading into round 2 next week, what's the game plan?
Got to catch up to Bego and Daniel, eh? Kind of looks like Formula 1 at the moment, or after this race, 2 Red Bulls out front and then the rest of the field battle for the final podium position. So yeah, obviously we'll need to put in some work to catch those 2 guys. They were next level from quali straight through to the race. So yeah, that would be the goal, to try and catch up to them. It's going to be difficult, but yeah, you never know. If we can manage to hook up a setup and maybe get close to them, it could be a good battle. But yeah, for the moment, just happy being back in the podium positions for the first time in a while. So yeah, ecstatic.
Absolutely tremendous stuff. Cameron, anything you would like to weigh in on?
Well, only one simple thing is, Mac, you've gotten so fast, I will not be able to catch you anymore. You've been, that JMP delivery is giving me PTSD. If you were one of the squad, if you were one of the squad members, out there on the roads, I will not be able to get away from you, not with my Suzuki Swift. So well done
Oh,
on a
thanks.
phenomenal drive. And yeah, I think you're making a lot of our locals a bit stressed in terms of if we see one of those cars on the track again. But well done, great drive. And yeah, now it's chase down. And I think just a little thought in mind, Van Veen, that you were batting there, our local Dutch. I think that's the closest we'll ever see a Dutchman in a Mercedes in Formula One. That's a bit of shade.
Literally went through my head in the middle of the race. I was like a Dutchman in a Mercedes. That's interesting.
Yeah, who knows? Might be a bit of foreshadowing, but well done on a great drive tonight there. And
Thanks, Cameron.
yeah, well done, and see you again
appreciate
in
it.
the next round.
Cool. Thanks, gents. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mac. Absolutely tremendous stuff. All right, well, let's bring in our first place of the pros, getting a fantastic run. Daniel Rowe, welcome to the commentary box. And wow, what a race out there. Proper door-to-door with your fellow teammate for a good little while. Was there the concern of just maybe I might have got my pit stop wrong?
Yeah, I was surprised with Quali managed to hook the lap at the end, but in the initial stages in the race, Bago had a lot more pace, so he got quite close, and then I just let him go. But yeah, I think he was running a little bit lighter than me, and when the rain came, I was able to just stretch it out a little bit longer in the wet, so just to get the track a bit drier for the new tires. So obviously him having to take, if he's going to take tires and take more fuel, I can take tires and only 1 liter. So I think the strategy was played in my favor. Because in the second stint, I think he did make some ground back, because when we came out the pits, he was only 2 seconds behind.
Definitely some phenomenal racing out there. Looking on to the rest of the championship, now that it's all started with a monstrous field, 3 different servers, lots and lots of drivers coming in. What's the game plan for yourself, looking at the level of competition that seems to have stepped up quite a bit?
No, it was very competitive tonight. And Van Veen, he's come to join us as well. I know his name from ZRC Bathurst 1000. And yeah, we've got some other new names here as well. And Delta Negative have come to RaceFace, so it's quite competitive guys in the ZRC league. They didn't have a great day today, but I'm sure they'll be up there in the next rounds. And yeah, competitive field. And a lot of Ferraris. But I'm sure the next few rounds will be even more exciting than tonight.
It's going to be an incredible one. Well done once again on the drive, getting on the win. Anything you would like to say out to the crowd, out to our new sponsors, Oddendorf Machinery Mart, SA Lube, and just to all the drivers, all the teams, and all the spectators taking a look as you've now taken the crown for round 1 of season 18.
Yeah, thanks to the organizers, the sponsors on board, partnering with RaceFace. We've been supporting RaceFace for a long time. And yeah, thanks to Bago. Bertus, I actually saw him today, and thanks to him for still pushing on and keeping RaceFace alive with everyone else on the scene, with Ansi, with you guys. And yeah, I'd probably just urge the other drivers to keep pushing, keep trying to get to the front, and to put in the effort for the whole season. Thank you.
Absolutely tremendous stuff. Thank you very much, Daniel Rowe. Cameron, anything you would like to say to Daniel before we let him be?
Well, nothing from my side except well done, Daniel. Of course, normal stuff. Well done, great race, and that stint that you did at the end was phenomenal. 4-second pit stop was the difference between you and Bago Grobler, from him taking the win and getting that 2-lap overcut over you. But well done, great race, and good luck for the rest forward. And I'm eager to see what you guys are, how your team is fighting it out with Delta Negative, trying to make it a Delta Positive, I can say. But well done, and good luck for the next round.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And good luck for the Samola Hill climb. I know you
Thank
and Jonathan are going to try climb the hill.
Yeah, indeed. We're gonna have some fun and do the best we can for VW.
That's it. Daniel Rowe of Hybrid Racing and going and having a bit of fun for VW. A big thank you to him joining in the box. Next up, we're going to have an interview that's been waiting for a long time from one of our Pro-Am servers. Let's bring in Michael Donaldson from our Pro-Am 7. Michael, welcome. It's always exciting. You definitely, your Discord picture of having this turtle from Finding Nemo pretty much sums up going and having a chat to you. The excitement that comes here to, but what a race it has been. The Pro-Ams, unfortunately, we didn't get to see it out tonight, but hearing that the grids are 45 cars strong, I mean, this is exciting times for the world of sim racing because it seems like everyone has come out the woodwork through the off seasons, not only participating in other leagues racing. It seems like Thursday night has really become fight night once again.
Well, unfortunately, Stephen, I'm not in Pro-Am. I'm in Am.
Am. Apologies.
Yeah. I was late to the sign-up, so I didn't realize that the season was starting today, so I only found out yesterday. So I got put in Am. I would have loved to do the grading and maybe try and get into Pro, but sucks.
You take.
But I mean, the Am race was brilliant. Just looking at the replays and everything, wasn't as touchy as the pros, as some would say. I mean, it was relatively clean. Like turn 1, we didn't have any incidents, only until later into the first lap. But all in all, it was a really fun race. I mean, you had Russ from ZRC as well, who him and I were kind of chasing each other the whole race before he ended up getting a drive-through. But the whole race was honestly brilliant. Like, even the AMs can be quite competitive at the front.
I think, right the way through AMs, pros, all of it, just some incredible action. For anyone that's wanting to get into the world of sim racing and is still sitting on the fence of whether they pull the trigger to get into it, do you have anything to say to all our crowd and also our new sponsors of Ottendorf Machinery Mart and SA Lube jumping on board?
I mean, sim racing is honestly the best hobby I've ever had. Like, I came from playing competitive games like Counter-Strike. I played Counter-Strike for 6 years before one day I just decided I'm going to drop all of that and switch over to sim racing. And then 5 months ago, I switched over to ACC from F1 and honestly haven't looked back. The racing is incredible. The competition is great. It's non-stop racing. It's very rare that you'll get yourself alone for the entire race. It's all the way through. And I mean, Ottendorf Machinery and Lube SA, like, honestly, thank you guys so much for keeping the leagues alive and keeping everyone happy and going. Because you've seen, I mean, there was, 120 people or more who registered for RaceFace this season? Which is honestly incredible. So, like, honestly, props to those guys for realizing that sim racing has one hell of a potential in this country.
No, that is most certainly the case. Cameron, anything you would like to have a chat to our AM driver before we release him out of the box to go and celebrate with the fellow ZRC drivers?
Well, I do know, Stephen, that he had quite a rough, believe 2 laps where he was running a bit low on fuel and still managed to get across the line without having to stop for a quick splash and dash. So well done on that. Yeah, I know, well done on that. And I always love seeing my fellow competitive FPS gamers making the switch to sim racing. That's how I also started. So, and finding it good and happy on this side. So and enjoying it and hoping to stick around there. But well done, Michael. And who knows? We might see some shuffling there. Someone from the higher grids picking you up, saying, "Listen, no, this guy's too fast. Let's put him among the top guys." You never know what happens. But well done. And happy to see you back on the track and excited to see a lot more from you.
No, thank you very much, Cameron. You're absolutely right. When I crossed the line on the third last lap to realize I had 4 liters of fuel with like 5 minutes remaining. So the last 2 laps I spent trying to bring down that timer so I didn't have to do another one. Because I mean, the
well
last 2
done.
laps I used 1.8 liters of fuel a lap.
Yeah, well, that's some impeccable skill there, and well done on that one. And yeah, great job. And well, we'll hope to see that skill soon being shown for everybody out there.
Thank you very much, guys.
Michael Donaldson.
Love you both.
Oh,
Chat again next week.
Yeah.
Oh, we love you. Remember to give me the biltong, eh?
Oh, I love these short therapy sessions.
Michael Donaldson from ZRC. What an amazing one. But that being said, Cameron, we say goodbye to the world of Barcelona, and we look forward to next week's racing. But so much is happening right here at RaceFace.Pro. This Saturday, we have got our first ever iRacing Spa 6-hour race that will be going out for all the drivers to be part of. So sign up. LMDH, Delara, LMP2s, and GT3s are welcome, bar the Ford and the McLaren. Sad.
Yes, unfortunately on that one. But yeah, I'll definitely sign up for all of our drivers out there. If you want to start and test out some iRacing, this is your moment. See how the South African community does it, and I can promise you it is full of fun. Grab your mates, grab your family members who have a sim rig, and just chuck them in the car and let them race. It's absolutely going to be fun.
And we have got so much coming through. Next week, also got a bit of racing for the RaceFace.Pro. Next week, Tuesday, we're going red light racing, well, going green light for the likes of our BMW Z Force. They're sponsored by the likes of SA Lube and Ondorf coming and being a part of it. There's also a monstrous prize on the line there. And weekend after that, we have got the next round of our SA Lube F4, so make sure you tune in, be a part of it. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, main thing to remember is please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon, leave a like as well. But with that being said, any closing thoughts from your side, Cameron de Bastos?
Well, always great to be back. I see an exciting season ahead of us for this round, well, for this season of our GT3 championships here at RaceFace.Pro. And yeah, I'm happy to be back in the box with you, Stephen. It's always lovely to commentate these races alongside you. Always a pleasure.
It's the only time I ever feel fast and I can hang around with fast drivers. I have to literally drag them into a commentary box to be able to get that right. In any case, but ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, make sure that you enjoy the page, have a lot of fun, share it with everyone, and also monster prize, as we heard, a 4,000 Rand toolbox goes out to the winner of pros, plus lots more to come in the pipeline, so definitely keep an eye out on that. Remember to go down into the description. We do have our link to the RaceFace.Pro Discord and also to SimGrid if you want to participate, join in with all the racing and be a part of all the fun. This is going to be a proper race. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we'll see you next time right here at RaceFace.Pro. And like always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Good night, everybody.
Just had to jump in there.
Of course I had to.
I'm going to flat spot your tires next time.